Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go. What up, Taylor?
Taylor, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Taylor, I'm Reilly, by the way. I don't know. We haven't officially met. Have you met Erik ever?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How'd you guys meet?
We met at the Firefighter Challenge
Yeah.
last year at World.
So you met all the celebrities at Worlds last year, huh? All the cool firefighter people.
It was a symposium of fitness in the fire service, to say the least.
That was awesome, honestly.
The
How'd
energy
it go
was
for you that year?
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, how'd it go that year?
Last year was my first year ever competing, so it went really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of sporting background did you have going into it, or was this just something that you found randomly?
I'm from Murray City in Utah, and they had a world champion combat challenge team like years and years ago. And so our PT test is kind of similar to the firefighter challenge. And so an engineer on my shift at a different station, he told me he would buy me a new pair of Metcons if I beat him at our yearly PT test.
Nice.
And so he did still beat me, but he was like, you should go out and try it, like you'd love it, whatever. And so I did. And unfortunately last year, like there was a fiasco because in Utah it was so hot last year that the hose was melting to the asphalt.
Jesus.
And like people were getting like having heat emergencies, like it was so bad. But actually though, like my first time ever doing the combat challenge, it was like a 6-minute time, which is horrible. Like that is horrible. But my hose got stuck to the asphalt and it was horrible. And I was like, okay, I got to go out and do this again. And so then I'm here now. I do it.
Taylor, before we get too far in, do a brief intro, like introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, what you do, but because we always go off on a tangent, we forget about the intro. We got to make sure we hit the intro on the way in.
Okay. I'm Taylor Ward. I'm a paramedic firefighter here in Utah. I work for Murray City Fire. It's just right outside of Salt Lake City. I've been a firefighter for 6 years. So I don't know what else you want to know, but.
Well, okay. Where are you currently working? Are you on an engine? Are you on a ladder?
I'm on a truck. So
Cool.
I work for a 3-station department. We run about 8,000 calls a year. So pretty busy between 3 stations.
Yeah. Have you been on that same truck for how long? Have you been with the same crew since you started, or have you rotated through some different the 3 other stations?
I've been at this station 3 years, and before that I was at a busier station on an engine. So
4-person crew or 3?
we have 6 people, so we run our ambulances as well.
All
so
right.
yeah, so 4 on a truck and then 2 on the ambulance.
Does that make for a fun station environment with that many people?
It does. I really love my crew, so it is great.
What has been like the best fire station prank you've seen in your firehouse that you can tell us legally? I don't want to get in trouble.
I know. Well, I feel like this. Okay. Not like the little like white poppers, but like I think they're called like red snappers.
Mm-hmm.
But like those hidden everywhere. Like, actually kind of makes me a little upset. But like they put it in the door frame, so when you close the door, it popped in the door. And I was deaf for like an hour.
So I think it was maybe about last year or 2 years ago, my buddy bought this thing off Amazon. It was like it looked like a quarter, and you pull this little tab and it would meow every 15 minutes.
Oh no.
It would just be like a meow. And he hid it up in the ceiling in our bunk room. And for like 8 hours, we were looking for this damn cat in our station, dude. It drove everyone fucking nuts, but it was literally the best prank. Like we finally figured out what it was, I wasn't even mad because it was just perfect. It would just randomly meow, and we just like look around the station to see if there was a cat pretty good. There's been some pretty good pranks, but it's always good fun.
How was
Yeah,
your
go ahead.
recent competition?
Um, it it was good. It was really competitive. Um, it was the firefighter town, the southwest or southeast region in Lexington, and so nationals is next week, so I'm excited for that. But it went really well. Nothing too crazy, but
So what sports did you play growing up? Or yeah, like I said, I got asked earlier.
so funny enough, so I danced growing up, so kind of different. It's not really.
Those are the best athletes. Like in CrossFit, dancers are the best athletes to coach because they completely understand how to move their body in space. If I have a dancer that I'm coaching and I tell them one little critique of how to change their technique, they're instantly fixable. They're so coachable. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and it yeah. So I grew up dancing. I spent a lot of time dancing. So that's kind of it.
So what happened at this at Southeast or in Lexington? Did you perform well? Did you have nerves? Like what was it kind of like?
Oh man, it wasn't necessarily nerves, but it just there's a lot of competitive. So the firefighter combat challenge, there's different divisions, and so I'm in division one, and it's really competitive. And so like there was 8 division one girls, and so they had the top 4 run the final day, which honestly I'm not really used to. I usually run the whole time, but I didn't run on the last day. And so going to nationals, I'm like, okay, gonna run. But from like 3rd place through like 6th place, we are all like within 5 seconds of each other, like give or take. So it's really competitive, but I wouldn't necessarily nerves. It's just you go out there and you're like, okay, went well, and then you're like, oh, I'll run the last day, and then you don't run. You're like, oh, well, I need to step it up a little bit on my initial run. But
So people that aren't familiar with the firefighter challenge, what is you have 3 runs that you do and you take the best score, or how do you place on the leaderboard?
so there's a so the first day is individual qualifying day, and so you get 1 run, and
Mhm.
then after that they take just I think it's like the top 33% of the division, and that's what runs on the last day. So
Mm.
really you get like 1 chance, and then if it doesn't go well, then you don't get to run on the final day.
That's
But
a that's really high risk, high reward, high consequence type performance.
uh
Do you have any rituals that you do before you run, or any superstitions, or because really great athletes always have superstitions, and they might even not even know that they're superstitious until you ask them.
um well, this is like kind of funny, but like I feel like the best times I've ever ran, like I've ate Chipotle the night before, like like a burrito, like some good carbs, like good protein, everything. But I don't know, like my best friends have actually come from that. So
Yeah, dude, we can get you
Yeah.
sponsored by Chipotle. We've got a lot of, eyes on this podcast. So if Chipotle, if you're listening, let's get her
yeah,
signed up.
I would say with that, sleep. I sleep is so important, and that's like number one. Like I'll fly in and I'm like, okay, I'm sleeping. Like if I fly in late, I'm like, okay, then we're making sure that we are getting enough sleep before I go and run. But
So we had we had Chantel on a couple weeks ago, and they called her Granny Tanny or Granny Shanny. Yeah,
yeah,
they had her
Granny
nickname was
Shanny.
yeah, Granny Shanny. When you're at the station, what's your sleep routine like? Do you get some ridicule for your sleep habits?
oh yeah. So I whether I'm on shift or off shift, like I'm in my room lights out 9:30. And that and I think that there's a balance there for sure. Like I believe in family time and crew integrity and stuff like that. But yeah, my crew we usually eat at 5:30, and then everyone's kind of, well, I shouldn't say everyone, the majority of everyone on my crew cares about wellness as well. And sleep's huge,
Yeah.
like, and just trying to get the most amount of sleep you can on shift. It's hard. And even like the quality of sleep, I don't know how it is for you guys, but like sometimes I'll even get like a full, we won't run very many calls at night, or we won't get any calls at night, and I still wake up and I'm tired just because I don't know, I can't go to bed and be like, and not tell myself I might have to wake up to go to a call.
Right. I feel uneasy at the firehouse. Number one, it's not my house. It's not my domain type of thing. So I don't sleep well regardless. And being at the firehouse, I don't sleep well either. So yeah, I feel
I
you.
think they call it station sleep. So even when you're at the station, the quality is not great, and you're just always on that kind of fight or flight
Yeah, you're on
response.
edge.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just ready to go whenever. But when I go home, my sleep is so deep that like my wife will remind me that something happened in the middle of the night. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, the dog threw up on the carpet. And I was like, I didn't even remember we had a dog when I was asleep. I completely oblivious. So yeah, I think just being in your house and being in your own bed, your brain just lets off
Mhm.
another like relaxation gear. Um, yeah, we sleep pretty well at my house as well. We we were watching the debate last night, and it started at 9 o'clock, and my crew looked at me and said, "You're probably not going to see much of this, are you?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not, and I'm good with that. I'll see y'all good night later. Peace out." And guess what? I didn't miss anything. But yeah, it's just always important. I think that that's a thing, the most utilized or underutilized performance enhancing drug is sleep. It's not pretty, or it's hard to find good sleep habits, but it's what the big difference between good and great is, I think.
And too, it's interesting to me because like I'll work trades or overtimes with different crews, and they'll be like they have like an opposite mentality where they're like, yeah, I'm gonna like I know we're gonna start getting calls at midnight, so I'm gonna stay up till at least midnight.
Mm.
And the calls do come, and so they're still up and whatnot, but then we come back and they just stay up, or then they decide to go to bed, and I'm like, I don't know. Then I look at it as like naps. Like I'm like, okay, I took like a 3 hour nap, and I had now I'm gonna take another nap.
I find it the most difficult part is the fall back asleep. So you go to bed, you start to fall asleep, you get a call, you get up, you got to do your reports or whatever you got to do, and then you get back in back in the bed and try to fall back asleep. That's the hardest part for me. It's like once I'm up, it's so hard for me to get back into that sleep pattern.
And I think it too, it depends on like what you're responding on. Like if it's more like a higher priority call, you kind of get back and you're like amped a little bit from
Mhm.
it, versus
Mhm.
like just picking up Mima who fell on the ground. I can go
Yeah.
back to bed just fine after this.
You talked a little bit about Chipotle. Talk a little bit more about food and kind of how that's set up, maybe pregame, like or during the day of the firefighter challenge. What's that look like food wise?
So I mean it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's probably where I struggle the most with competing is just eating and eating enough. But a couple days before, like I will carb up and just kind of like have an excess of carbs that I wouldn't normally have. Nothing like crazy. Like we're not like it's not like I'm eating cake and donuts and cookies, but it's just like, we're having more carbs than what I would normally have in my diet. And then day of like it's actually really funny. And there is actually studies on it when you look at it, but like the Sour Patch Kids, like
Yeah,
those are like best friends. And
instant glucose.
yeah, it is. And it's quick. And another thing too is like when we're stressed, so like I mean another great example is like Fire Academy. But like when you're stressed or you're just like working all day, what happens is like our digestion slows down. And so we can't digest those same foods that we like normally eat in our diet the same way that we would when we're competing for Fire Academy and stuff like that. But that being said, so my food changes a little bit in that way of like my complex carbs change to more simple carbs. But I try to keep protein the same. So like chicken, rice, but we'll add, Sour Patch Kids or like nerd gummy clusters. Those are
Yeah,
like,
I've actually heard a lot about those lately.
yeah.
Are they that good?
I mean, okay, they are great, but they are banned in other countries. They're probably not great for you, but they
That's
are.
America, baby. God bless America.
It is, and there's a lot of other things that I do that I'm sure are not healthy as well. So it's just like nerd gummy clusters aren't going to kill me here and there.
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, our recently I've been into this Instagram page called the Glucose Goddess, and it's this lady in the nutrition field, and she talks about our insulin response to certain foods. So obviously when you eat a piece of cake or a brownie, you have this huge insulin response. Like your body's obviously intaking a lot of sugar. She shows like if you pair even like something like chocolate cake with a little bit of protein, maybe like 10 to 15 grams of protein, it lowers that insulin response by 50%. So I'm almost in the camp. If you're going to eat the cake, just have a little piece of chicken before the cake, or
Yeah.
like some like a Greek yogurt or something with a protein like that can alter that insulin response. Because obviously that roller coaster of up down insulin sensitivity and things like that. That's really the big issue when we come to like diabetes type 2 stuff. So if you're going to have the cake, just have a little protein before. It could definitely alter that response from that huge sugar surge. It's interesting.
It is interesting. And it's actually funny you say, so my sister is a type 1 diabetic.
Mm.
And even her, so obviously like her pancreas doesn't function anymore, dead. But even with like, so she's got a CGM, so she's got a constant glucose monitoring device, and she has an insulin pump as well. But even not, obviously she's different than a type 2 diabetic, but she still watches her diet because same thing. Like she feels like when she maintains more complex carbs and protein throughout the day, she doesn't see one, she doesn't feel like she uses as much insulin, and two, she's not getting these huge blood sugar spikes and dips as
Mm.
well. So it
Yeah,
is
we
good.
got to be careful how we market nerds gummy clusters, because then everyone will be like, yeah, well, Taylor told me to eat these, and that's 80% of my diet. You got to
Yeah.
watch out. It's not what we're saying.
And what you said there too is great, like having like an 80/20, like
Mhm.
it's great to be on point with macros or whatever you're doing, but it's also important to like live your life, like if you're in New York, you gotta freaking have a slice of pizza.
Absolutely.
That's like a sin.
Yeah, Eric was just up in New York not too long ago.
Yep.
He had a good New York experience.
Lovely.
Eric, do you have any things that you go to? I know we've talked about it a little bit in the past for GSD, but anything go-to foods that you would go like pre-competition or anything like that?
As of lately, Uncrustables. Just
Hell yeah.
real simple peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Stingers, just
Mm,
honey. If I have honey, I'll do honey,
yeah.
just because. Try to keep it more natural. But yeah, no pre-workouts for me. I did that when I was younger, and arrhythmias later, like years later. I don't take anything pre-workout. As a matter of fact, as of lately, I stopped coffee, so I stopped caffeine altogether.
Wow. How do you
Oh,
feel about
Yeah,
that?
I,
I don't feel like I'm a slave. I feel so liberated.
It sounds like it. Sounds like you sound so happy about it too.
Yeah.
I feel
No,
so
but
free. Fuck.
I'm so free. But no, man, I was noticing that I get jittery or I'll get in gear and then my heart rate would be just spike or I'll get jacked so much more sooner than if I wasn't on caffeine. So yeah, plus it's diuretic, right? It dehydrates you, like all these like negatives, but on the other side, the positives, right? The increase of metabolism,
I just like, I mean, it feels like a lightning bolt hit me in my heart sometimes, and I like that, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, but
Look, like you said, 80/20, 80/20, man.
yeah.
I'm gonna drink caffeine. I went about 3 weeks without it, and I did feel better afterwards, but I'm just a slave right now. I'm just currently enslaved.
Yeah, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you? Caffeine for you, Taylor, or what?
oh yeah. I go in waves with it though. Like I'm one of those people that's like I'm like 100% into something or I'm not. So it's like I'll be like, oh, like I remember how much I like energy drinks, and then I'm like on an energy drink train, and then like I stop
Mhm.
completely, and then yeah, and then drink coffee for a second, and then don't
What
drink it.
about, I know with the firefighter challenge, you're doing a lot of training and you're doing a lot of sweating. What about hydration? Any hydration tips for people out there sweating a lot? I know we're finally starting to make that turn for a little bit cooler weather, but hydration's still important when it's cold outside as well.
Oh my, well, hydration is just so important in general. Like even a 2% difference in your body is going to affect your performance. And a lot of people don't quite understand that. But like, and then another thing too, people think like hydration is just pounding water. And
mhm.
that's not true.
Mm.
So just like staying on top of that. So drinking water and then drinking some sort of electrolyte. There's a lot, and I feel like lately there's been like a lot of electrolyte brands that have come out, because it used to kind of just be like Gatorade. Like it was like you do water and Gatorade. And I mean, I'm not going to like
We will
totally.
flip out on Gatorade right now. So like, yeah, we will burn Gatorade to the ground. Me and Eric, we personally hate Gatorade.
Yeah, I was
We
like,
won't be getting that sponsorship, I can tell you that.
no, well, I was like, I'm not a big Gatorade fan myself, but like, if it's all you got, I guess
For sure.
do something. But yeah, there's a,
But
but
don't you have a partnership with Fire
Yeah,
Science?
I was trying to get you to drop that plug.
yeah,
Yeah.
Fire Science, Fire Salt's awesome.
Mhm.
They have great electrolytes within their Fire Salt, and another thing too is they're pretty strong flavoring, so it doesn't taste like straight up salt. Because some electrolytes do that. You're like, whoa.
Are you going pre-workout electrolytes? Or are you doing post-workout? Are you doing both? Like, what's your routine there?
I do both.
Mhm.
So it kind of depends on the day, but I usually start my mornings with a trail run here in Utah. And so typically I wake up and I always have two. It's kind of funny. It's a little wild. I have like two water bottles. One's an electrolyte water bottle and the other one's like water.
Yeah.
And typically I start with some electrolytes, then I go run, come back, drink water, and then I just mix between water and electrolytes. But I really try to stay on top of that, because that's like the big thing that I can say that I feel a difference in is when I'm not hydrated.
1000% I agree.
Mhm.
I'm some days you try to go for that, like sometimes a second session in the afternoon, and you get going, and I just feel like I have not done my due diligence on hydration, and just the second session is just a drag. I just don't feel like I have it, and it's because I was sweating for an hour in gear earlier. Just didn't do the post-workout recovery electrolytes and salt and stuff like that. So I can always feel the difference when I'm hydrated and when I'm dehydrated. Eric, what are you
Yo,
doing? You still doing what were we talking about with hydration the other day? Like what were you drinking? Were you drinking something
Pedialyte,
different? Maybe. Yeah.
Element.
You on Pedialyte or nah?
I like Pedialyte. I don't like all the flavors though. I choose non-flavored Pedialyte, or just as of lately Element, just because it's
Mm.
convenient, just because we
Yeah.
have it here. But I don't like the flavored things. I prefer that salt water and feel the hydration
I'll do
as I'm drinking it.
the no flavor, like just like the natural salt one, like no flavor,
Yeah,
no
sure,
nothing. I like that a little bit better if I'm being honest. Feels like I'm
exactly.
at the beach and just take a little bit of that salt water to the
Yeah.
dome.
Um, Taylor, any post-shift rituals? Like, what do you do coming off shift? Do you go train? Do you go for a walk? I mean, how do you ease into like civilian life?
Um, it really depends on the shift for me. I really try my best to not schedule things right after shift, but obviously sometimes that happens. But I see how I feel. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to be a nice or a good person unless I get a nap. So
Sure.
sometimes I come home and I'll sleep for a little bit, and then it's usually too, I try to make like my first day off like a recovery day, and not like let's go hit a hard workout, but just more that I can just relax and just catch up, like go get groceries, just kind of hang out. That's what I would prefer my day one off being, but sometimes that's a little different. But yeah, you sometimes it's a nap, and then sometimes it's I'll just go out for a nice like recovery run. Like just easy, just kind of like slightly like mindless, like just kind of go out, listen to music, and just kind of do my thing there.
Keep the body moving, right?
Yeah.
Recover
What's your
from
sch-
the
what's
shift
your
before.
schedule like at your department? Is it 24/48 or 48/96? 48/96?
Uh-huh.
Nice. Do you feel like you're more recovered? Have you ever had another schedule, or that's been it for you?
That's been it for me. So,
Hmm. They say, I mean, I've read tons of studies on 24/48, 48/96. Obviously, it's mixed. It's a mixed bag. You might see it all, but more consistent sleep in your own bed, for me, we're 24/48, and I wish we go to 48/96, but I don't know if we'll ever see that day. But yeah, I think sleep, we can circle back to all like the training techniques and everything, but Sleep is the one thing, man. It comes down to that.
Sleep is king.
Yeah.
Well, departments right now, and they have D shift. So they have A, B, C, and then D shift. So
Wow.
those guys, like, you work like 2 days and then you have like 6 days off instead of 4. I was like, I'll sign up for that.
Yeah. I recently saw, I think it was Gainesville Fire Department down in Florida went to 24/72. So
Yeah.
1 day on, 3 days off, which I think maybe could be some middle ground for some of those departments that were on like don't want to go 48, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's real complicated, and I don't get paid to make any decisions like that, so I just kind of stay out of it and do what I'm told. Taylor, are you a CrossFitter? Do you do CrossFit, or is it just what?
What do I do?
She's a
Yeah, how are
hybrid.
you so fit? That's really what I'm trying to get to.
She's like a
what the
hybrid athlete. I've seen her lift heavy. I've seen her do gymnastics. She's an athlete.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid. It's kind of interesting because like I feel like CrossFit is part of hybrid fitness, but I used to do hybrid fitness competitions because it's funny because you guys keep bringing up gymnastics. I am not good at that. Like,
Okay.
but the thing, and I guess too, I don't really train on that, so I don't really improve on something you don't train on. But yeah, it's not necessary. So I mean, hybrid fitness is like CrossFit does fit in that category, but I would just say I do hybrid fitness. I just care about being strong and fast. That's what I typically try to go for.
Absolutely. We were talking to Chantel, and she was actually getting ready to go into a CrossFit competition. I was just wondering if you guys ever, did some partner workouts together or, anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's a funny story with Chantel because we became friends last year and then we just clicked. Like we actually met up at Firefighter Nationals. Like never met her, and I was like, she looks like someone I might be friends with. And so I went up and I was like, hey, like we should run a tandem team. And no shit, we run a tandem team and we won nationals. Like we became national champions and we had a national record for a minute. I mean, it's broken now, but we want to get it back. But
yeah,
but anyways, kind of crazy with our friendship. But we actually are doing a competition together in November. We're on a 4-girl team.
I love this idea, this story that we both heard from both of you. It's like if you wouldn't have put yourself in that position or put yourself in that room, you wouldn't have met her. So people that are listening to this, if you just show up and you put yourself in the room, like there's a chance you could meet a training partner, a friend, or anything like that. Like you guys sound pretty close, and if you wouldn't have been able to, just say like, hey, do you need a partner? She would have never said yes. So I think that's a crazy story, and just like encourages people to to get out there and maybe just ask someone a wild random question.
Yeah, life is so short, and it's just like you're at an event with like-minded individuals, so the likelihood of you getting along with someone is very high.
So if there was a checklist for like a training partner that you need, like there's a training partner application for you, what does a training partner need to have for like certain personality qualities or things like that?
Oh gosh. Well, honestly, I prefer people that are really good at what I'm weak at. So like I'm built for feed, not speed. I'm not like if you ask me to pick up like a weight and it's like heavy, I'll get it done. I'll figure it out somehow. But running, that's just a different secret that I do not have as developed as weightlifting. So I love when someone like they can freaking decimate me in a run because I'm like, oh man. Like
Did you say, let me repeat that. You said you were built for feed, not for speed?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before and I really like it.
Dakota Meyer said that and I
That's
really
awesome.
laugh because it's funny.
So you like to train with people that necessarily don't have the same strength as you?
Yes, I love that because
that's a good thing. What about like personality types? Because me personally, I would talk to the wall if it would talk back to me. And I think this guy to my left, he's the opposite. He's not a talker, but we've trained together and it works out perfectly because obviously, we just like to work out. But do you like your partner to be talkative or like just do the work?
I can do either. Like there's things that like motivate and like drive me to work out, and so if I have to tap into that, I can tap into that. But if I have someone that they want to motivate and talk, I'm good with that too.
My
But
wife is not a talker. When she works out, she doesn't want me to talk to her. She don't want me to talk about anything other than what she's doing. So I always ask that because like I I like to talk and have a good time, but some people use that training time as kind of like a mental floss or like a mental relaxation. So yeah, I was thinking about that. I enjoy someone that's probably going to make me do things that I didn't want to do. They're gonna be like, well, the kind of what you're saying, like good at the things that I didn't necessarily would put on the dry erase board for training that day. And it seems that that always works out. Is that if you put yourself with someone that's better at you than certain things, you end up doing pretty well.
yeah, and I feel like that translates over to this job really well. So I actually moved. So I moved from one crew to the current crew I have because I looked at that crew and I was like, everyone on that crew is way better at firefighting than I am and paramedicine. I was like, that's where I need to be. Like I
Mhm.
want to be the worst person in that room because I'm just going to be built up. And that's what I want to do. So same with fitness, but I think that translates to firefighting really well.
So with the firefighter challenge, like what's a normal time domain? Like what's one of your best times? I'm only asking this because a follow-up question would be what type of training are you doing? Some long aerobic workouts as well, or are you doing short choppy sprints? Like what does a training block or a training day look like to be successful in the firefighter challenge?
Um, so my fastest time so far was a 2:39, which is not pretty good. Like,
I think that's pretty
yeah,
fast.
yeah. And then you got like freaking Katie Ross. She's out of Canada. She did like a minute 55. I was like, holy crap.
That's fine.
Yeah. Like there's some, and honestly, it's motivating for me. There's some really fast girls.
Mm.
I have to put in perspective though, they have been racing a lot longer than I have. But it's awesome because those are definitely goals that I want to chase. For me, I mean, everyone's gonna be a little bit different, but I definitely am like a fast twitch athlete. I'm really good at explosive movements, and that's where I live. Like, workouts that are 10 minutes or less, those are where I decimate.
Mm.
But you asked me to go like on a 10-mile run, I'm not gonna be as great at that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think building an engine is most important. And so just working more on running and honestly too just aerobic capacity. The best way to build aerobic capacity is running, unfortunately. Like
Mm.
you can do other things, but running is really the bread and butter of that. So for me, I'm working more on running versus weightlifting because like I said, I enjoy that and I can
Mhm.
typically get myself to lift what I need to lift.
Yeah, I've tried to add it maybe like 3 or 4 days a week, just slow cardio, like just like really low heart rate, just especially when I'm getting off shift. I really think that that's the best way to get back into it. Um, 10-mile race. When is that? I need you to do that
But
ASAP.
oh, it's not like
I think
no,
you're
so
just a race car, man. You can't ask a race car to be a SUV. You can't ask it to go on a road trip. You don't take a Ferrari on a road trip.
no, and that too is, I mean, it's important to know your strengths and weaknesses. I just did a competition in West Virginia called Rallying the Valley. One of the best, actually, like I would say the best hybrid competition I've done thus far ever. Just because Matt Stevens is the race director and he is awesome. I had so much fun. Like for instance, like a lot of the workouts we had no clue what they were or we knew elements of them. So something I liked is like it was true athletic ability. So like one of the workouts, he was like, "Oh, it's a sandbag workout." Didn't know what entailed with it, and he was like, "There's also a surprise." Well, we get out there, and he's got echo bikes, and he blindfolded us and put us on the echo bikes, and he's like, "Hey, they'll tell you when to get off." And so we were riding for an unknown amount of calories, and then into the sandbag workout. But
Did they
it's like,
take the blindfold off you when you got to the sandbag?
yeah, yeah, it
Oh.
was fun. But it's like so, and then we did it at night, so I didn't get home like or back to my Airbnb until like later that night. And then we had to be at the trailhead at like 7 a.m. And then we went into a trail run that was 8 miles. And then just next workout was a shorter workout with a rower. But it was like a 3-day event. But he did an awesome job. But anyways, like back to the hybrid thing, like hybrid fitness, kind of that's the standard. It's like you get these short workouts and then you get like some heavy weightlifting and then yeah, like a freaking 8 mile run.
Look, we'll just welcome all the hybrid athletes over to the CrossFit side because if you ask me, that sounds a lot like CrossFit, dude. I'm just gonna say, I know you guys don't like to use the C word, but that sounds a lot like what we're doing. I'm just gonna say that.
About the skills. That's really
Okay,
what
okay. I can see that. I can see that. There's a lot of I'm to the point now with the sport of CrossFit, the skills just seem almost silly. Like they're getting too, you know, super gymnasticy, I guess is the word. But yeah, I can see that. I think hybrid is CrossFit without the skills.
it is. It's exactly what it is.
So what's on the calendar for you? You said you've got in the next couple of weeks you've got another firefighter challenge. What about like rest of 2024 into 2025? Anything big on the calendar?
Oh gosh. I mean, I take it like week by week at this point. But there is like I have firefighter nationals, firefighter worlds, and then there's a competition in Texas called Hold the Line. And so Chantel and I are on a team for that with two other female firefighters, one out of Texas, one out of Florida. So that's like a team one. And then my friends at Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, they're doing a half marathon in Big Bear.
Let's
So
go.
yep. So I'm gonna hoof it. Not fast. That one's more for fun, but yeah, that. And then I'm, December, and that's always been my hard rule. Like December, like I don't do anything. Like it's just moving my body. It's having fun. It's enjoying Christmas and the New Year, and then it's like, okay, reset, make some goals, and pick some competitions to do.
I like that. I like that relaxing around the holidays.
Yes.
Is it? Will it be plenty of snow where you're from, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ain't mess with that, you know. Mm. So with this, with the half mile or the half marathon, have you said the longest you've ever run is 10 miles?
No,
Eight.
I've
Was it
done
8?
8.
The
no,
trail run?
I've done half marathons previously. Um, my fitness journey is kind of an interesting one. When I feel like most girls, at least, like when they start fitness, it's like, oh, I'm gonna pick up running. And so before weightlifting, I just ran.
Mm-hmm.
Not fast. It's never been fast. But me and my sister, actually, my younger sister, she wanted to start working out. And so I was getting like I wanted to go to fire academy and whatnot. And so I was like, oh, I'll take up running. Like that's fitness. So
Sure.
I've done halves before. I don't love them, but
What was your academy like? Were you the only female there? Were there more females? What was that experience for you? Because I think that that's a big, line in the sand for most females interested in the fire services. Can I survive like the academy?
yeah. So when I went, it I was the only girl and I was the only one from my department as well. So it was a fire academy with three other departments that are near us. And it was hard, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it's interesting. Firefighting to me is interesting because you always, and I agree, you should be in top physical shape because we could name a whole freaking list of why it's important to be fit. But firefighting, at least like in academy, what I learned is like a lot of firefighting is techniques and knowing how things work and operate versus like brute strength and just muscling through things. And so I think that when you know that, then I don't know, it makes camp a little bit easier. But I also think camp's kind of a game too, just having everything ready to go.
Did you do anything different leading up to the academy for you, or did you just kind of adopt the training strategies in the academy?
Like working out wise, or
Yeah, like strength and conditioning wise, getting when you're getting ready for that.
oh yeah. I had started weightlifting. So I started like compound lifts, so just like deadlift, squat, and benching, and then still like running and doing stairs. And then I just maintained that through academy. And then my biggest thing was, is I was like, I don't want to get fat after academy, because I like firefighters always leave fire academy. And then like their first couple years, they gain a lot of weight because they just, they're not working out the same, or that expectation. It's not that it's lowered, but I feel like, I don't know, like maybe less eyes are on them. But I just feel like people don't, after academy, after they're off probation or whatnot, they don't feel like they need to be as fit or fit anymore.
I think that people get that sense of accomplishment, like, oh, I finally finished the academy. I finally made it to, I'm finally a firefighter. Like, I finally can do this, or I've accomplished this goal. And then they get that satisfied attitude. They start, getting a little comfy, things like that. And they were doing fitness five times a week when you're in the academy. Then they go down to doing fitness maybe one time a week or two. And then obviously, like you talked about, the weight gain comes on. But I don't know what to do to combat that, the complacency, or the, that relax after you get done with the academy. I'm not sure. I don't have one of those bones in my body. I can't even fucking sleep at night. But yeah, so I can't relate to it, but it happens.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, there's a lot to that as well. Like, I think too, like, I think in the fire service, we tend to eat our own as well. Like, you come out of, like you said, it's a huge accomplishment. Like, you finish fire academy, and then you're off probation, and then you're like, I want to treat other new people like crap. And you're like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I take big issue with that.
Yeah. We were just talking about this last night at my station. The role of that, you got shit on while you were a probie, or while you were the new guy, and then you answer that with being that guy that shits on the new guy when you have that opportunity. And if you don't want that to be the normal, you can't do that. Like, you have to change. You have to do what you want to see the change, You have to be nice to the new guy, or show him something, or, work out with him. You have to be that. You have to change that stigma yourself. You can't just continue the cycle of just shitting on the new guy, which is really, really annoying to me as well.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, obviously, like, there'll come a point where none of us are firefighters anymore. And it's like, so I think of it as like, we're just passing through the uniform, and it's like, what do you want to, like, be remembered for? But also, like, what are you going to do so when someone else is wearing this uniform, that they don't treat new people like that, or just, public as well? Because sometimes that bleeds into, like, patient interactions, or just the public. And you're like, why are you salty? You have like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That 2 years going on 20. That's what they always say.
Yeah.
So I was recently listening to this speech that a basketball coach, Billy Donovan, gave. He's like, he used to coach for University of Florida, and he was talking about, you'll forget about the plays or the wins. You'll forget about what date you were doing this or this and that. But if someone asks you about your teammates, like, you'll be able to tell them about your teammates way more than you can tell them about, a call or a big fire or things like that. Like, your team, like our team, I'll be able to talk about my captain and my engineer more. Like, I'll be able to speak to that a lot more than a crazy call or one call. So basically, you have to be invested in your team, and your team has to be invested in you, because that's what you're going to remember the most. You're going to remember the station pranks. You're going to remember the times you guys spent together, and the things you did outside of the station. That's going to be way more important than the big fires or the big calls or anything like that. You're going to remember that way less than you remember all the time that you spent with your crew. So that's just the more important part, I think, sometimes, is like, what are they going to say about you? What is your crew going to say to their kids when they're describing you? I think that's a really good way to look at things, and how you want to show up for your crew.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, how do you want to be remembered?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Julian Serrano brought it up. Giving it your all, your best when you're interacting with someone else. And I was like, yo, that sounds exhausting. That sounds so tiring to give your 100 every single time. But yeah, I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. And so how do you want to be remembered? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing too, like, I think people are so quick to forget, like, what it's like to be new, like, to walk in a station and feel so out of place because you've never been in one before. Or, like, even like life experience, like, you're like, I think it's so funny when you guys show up and they don't know how to do laundry, or they don't know like how to cook, like they're like,
Yeah.
how do you make a burger out of like this like pile of like ground beef,
Mhm.
and but like they're great at other things, like they've done like construction their whole life. So you go on a house fire or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, this kind of building construction. You're like, oh, they're rad.
Yeah.
But
I know it's an odd day, but where let me first ask, were you alive on 9/11? Let me just ask, let me cross that bridge first.
I was 3. So
Oh, all right. All right. So you're dating Erik and I, and we feel old. But here's just like something I was asking. I'm sitting at the table in the station this morning, and we have a younger firefighter. He's like, I wasn't even born yet. But I remember asking, I was like, well, what do you remember learning about that? Like, who told you about it? Like, obviously, you know the big story, but like, what were your parents saying after, or like, what did the history book say about this when you were a kid?
well, it's hard because so for me, they didn't start teaching it in schools till like people weren't born yet, because it
Mhm.
wasn't, I guess it's like, I guess at that point it's not history because technically I was alive when it happened.
Yeah.
But I remember like growing up and like every year we would watch documentaries on it, and that was just kind of like a normal thing. Like it's like, hey, we're gonna watch documentary on 9/11 and hear people's stories and everything that went on that day. But yeah, so it's different for me because I hear, well, it's funny because so I work at the college part-time with the fire academy, and so this morning I did a 9/11 workout with them. But the same thing I asked them, I was like, who was not alive yet? And the majority are not alive yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to bring it up and to always make it relevant, for sure, to just talk about the sacrifices that were made, and obviously give thanks to those individuals for their bravery and the courageous acts of and efforts of trying to save others.
Mhm. I think that in today's world, news, we're able to access and process news and things that are happening so fast that we just move on to the next thing. Like, oh, something else happened, so we forget about what just happened in the news or something like that. And it's like, the more that I read and the more that I see and all this stuff is like, we can't not remember that. Like, we can't move on. We can't just dispose of that whole time in our history because it was obviously a tragedy, but it was also so unifying at the same time. It was a moment in history that I will remember because I was alive and I just saw how everyone treated each other. It was obviously a tragedy, but it also unified everyone. Everyone was proud to be an American. Everyone had American flag outside their house. They were on board with, patriotism and things like that. And I remember George Bush throwing out the first pitch at the Yankees game in the World Series, and everyone just like, just beating their chest like a true American. And I love that. Like, I love people being patriotic and remembering those types of situations. But it's a weird day. I had to get off fucking Instagram this morning because there was too many sad 9/11 videos. I was like, I just can't be looking at this shit anymore. But yeah, sorry. I just think it's an important day, and I just always want to talk about it.
No, and it is. I've had the great pleasure of going to Ground Zero in the museum back east, and I loved it. And it's important. It's important for it.
Erik, did you go to the museum, or what
I
was your
did.
9/11 experience when you went there? Tell us about it.
It was somber, to say the least. You see where the towers used to stand, and you see the memorial, and then you go into the actual like museum underground, and and then you see the fire truck, engine 3, right? All demolished. I was like, man, this is our reality, right? Not to like uh, make up something or create something that isn't there, but this is the reality that we face as firefighters. When I don't know, I have like mixed feelings talking about it, right? So
Mhm. I just don't think it's something we should forget. I think we should
yeah,
obviously do something for it or remember every year. So it's
And,
fun to talk to people that weren't born during it.
and
Look,
I
I'll be honest with you. I was only 8. Like, I'm not gonna. I would think I was 8 or 9. I wasn't super old, but old enough to kind of know what was going on. But
Yeah.
what really hurt me the most is that we had planned on going to Disney World the next week, and my grandparents canceled our Disney World trip. They're like, we can't go. It's on high terrorist alert. And, that's what really pissed me off is that I couldn't go to Disney World.
Yeah,
At
you're a
that
child.
moment, that's all I was. I was a child. Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't really understand the implications of what
Couldn't
was happening.
comprehend what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Taliban hates Mickey Mouse. That's what I always said. Fuck them. But, on this show, Taylor, we always talk about mantras. We talk about, how we talk to ourselves when times are adverse or like when we're in the thick of a workout. What does that look like for you? What's your self-talk like?
It comes from two places. It really is like I'm grateful. Like I think about all the people that believe in me and love me and want to see me grow and do well and succeed. And then spite. There's like part of me that's like I want to show these people wrong. I want them to choke on their words. Like
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
one
like
thing
that.
that I say to myself when I'm like, I don't want to work out or like, I'm kind of like, oh, like my day's packed. Like I don't want to necessarily go do this or whatever. Like, I say I don't bite or sorry, I don't bark. I bite. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
we're gonna do what I say I'm going to do.
Right.
I do. Oh, okay. So you do what you say you're gonna do. You are who you say you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
I
I'm
like
not
that.
talking, not barking, bite. So
Oh, I kind of like that. You've
yeah.
had two really like good bumper sticker material quotes that I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal from
I
you.
like the spite one. I'm gonna prove you wrong,
Yeah.
bitch. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna make you eat your words type of thing. But I'm a little bit more aggressive than Taylor.
The duality,
But
I
yeah.
appreciate that as well. It's like being grateful and being like, the people that love you and support you. But also, I'm not there for a participation trophy. Like, I'm there
Oh,
to win. And I think the balance of that is healthy. I don't think that's abnormal to have that thought or to even think like that way. So I kind of am with that 100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Similar mindset.
yeah,
I've seen Taylor compete. She does it, man. She's in the arena.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get quiet before competition? Do you get, I start talking to people
yeah.
at CrossFit competitions. I'll start to talk to people or like try to, bug out a little bit before. But are you laser focused or dialed in or?
Here's kind of my, I don't know. Like, I like, I like, I don't like when people are like, being kind of shady. Like they're, oh, I'm not gonna talk to everyone. Like I want to just like mean dog everyone, whatever. And it's like, why? Like there's nothing I can do in the next 5 minutes that make me fitter or make me like perform better. Like the workouts are out. Like there's nothing. And I don't know. Like I'm just like, why am I gonna go try to intimidate people? Like that just seems silly. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just like a
Yeah.
happy-go-lucky person, so I'm just like, and I think it's cool to get to know people. Like they're different because like you said, like fitness for a lot of people is like a mental escape. And that's something that I've been like fitness competitions or even like the combat challenge, like some of those people's stories are so dark and you're just like, and they tell you like the light is the combat challenge, like being around those people, like competing, like training for it. Like they're like, that's what got me out of a hole. And,
Mm.
and it's like, and it's so cool to hear those things. And like, that also like inspire, like that almost too, like causes me to like want to do better. Cause I'm like, this person just went through this shit, and like, this is like what's caused them to come out on the other side. And you're like, wow, that's rad. Like I'm
Yeah.
competing against some rad people.
Yeah.
So if I had to compare us, I would meet you and I are more alike, and Eric and Chantel are more alike. They're the silent assassins, and we're just like the happy-go-lucky smile people. But
Yeah. Taylor's pretty sociable.
she's a social butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, we appreciate you coming on here. We obviously wish you luck in all your future endeavors. We hope that we're behind you and we're cheering for you. So good luck and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. You guys are awesome. So this has been so fun.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on. We understand time is a luxury, but go
Perfect.
kill it. We're just here. We're just spectators. We're fans. We're just gonna keep cheering you on.
Well, likewise, I love what you guys are doing. So I'm a big fan.
Thanks, Tay.
Absolutely.
See our world. Proud of
Oh,
you. Right?
I
Yeah.
we're gonna be at World. I love that. Are you both going?
Oh no, I won't be there.
I'll be up in Nashville in October, so see you out there.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Have
Taylor.
a blessed day.
Thank
Later.
You guys do too.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start fucking training. It can never be enough.